Keir Starmer has confirmed that the government is bringing forward plans to ban smoking outside of pubs, restaurants, hospitals, and sports grounds. How the ban will operate is not yet clear, but the government seems to be carrying forward the previous government's ambition to make Britain smoke-free by 2030. Starmer was quoted by Sky News as saying that my starting point on this is to remind everybody that over 80,000 people lose their lives every year because of smoking. It's a huge burden on the NHS, and of course, it is a burden on the taxpayer. So yes, we are going to take decisions in this space. More details will be revealed, but this is a preventable series of deaths, and we've got to take action to reduce the burden on the NHS and the taxpayer. Although we don't know much at this time about the details of the government's ban, polling does seem to favour the proposal. YouGov found that 58% of British people would tend to support or strongly support a ban on smoking in pub gardens and outdoor restaurants. Not everyone has been so keen, however. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, speaking on the BBC, has said that if I stand here smoking with the sky above me, I'm not affecting anybody else, so shouldn't I be able to make my own decisions on things like that? And frankly, if they do this, it'll be the death knell of the pub. So, Sarah, do you think this will be the death knell of the pub? What do you make of Nigel Farage's position?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because his hyperbolic statement as well that they're heroes of the nation. I don't think that smokers are the heroes of the nation when we should be looking at how pubs are hindered by Brexit, namely COVID-19 and also geopolitical tensions. I think it's a bit of a senseless statement, but it's also classic Farage, always trying to incite some sort of camaraderie in his hyperbolic statements. But I think if we want to talk about solutions, then maybe we should be talking about how we could achieve some sort of growth, sustainability, and resilience in our pubs. I don't think it's just smokers that go to pubs. So slightly baseless on his part, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like there are so many better ways that you can approach like saving pubs, given the cost of living crisis, given the fact that there was several recent studies that came out that have and reports that the primary demographic going out on nights out now are the sort of over 50, 60 generation because they're the people that can afford to go out like
Mm.
disproportionately compared with the numbers we used to have. Over 60s are going out, younger people are staying home. I think the report was something to do with like they stay home and do pottery or something like that. You know, young people stay home. We attend pottery classes apparently. um but it's just like, yeah, you could address that, and you're going to tell me that this is the death knell of the British pub?
It definitely isn't. It
I'm
definitely isn't.
doubtful.
And I think we need to be focusing on the fact that this, I have to agree with Starmer here, that this is a burden on the NHS. We're seeing so many preventable deaths happen as a result of smoking. And I think maybe we should be calling for greater investment in campaigns and local stop smoking services that actually would encourage and support people to quit, rather than the likes of Farage saying that you guys are the heroes of the nation, continue doing what you're doing, attend the pubs and keep smoking. I think whilst most people who smoke want to stop, I think they do need the support and the right tools to do so. But the impact on the NHS is undeniable, and I think to deny that means that we aren't confronting the hard truth. And we need to also weigh up, because I was having a discussion today about it. They were like, "But it contributes so much to the economy," and I'm like, "So you're trying to weigh up economy over health benefits?" It's almost I wouldn't put the two together. So yeah.
Yeah, I think particularly when it comes to Farage, actually, because Farage actually opposed the previous legislation,
Mm.
2007-ish, when they fully banned smoking inside pubs and restaurants. Like he was opposed to that as well, and I think it's a bit of a sort of a boy who cried wolf situation where you're like, well, you said last time that this was going to be disastrous for the economy, and it didn't really
Mhm.
impact. Yeah,
Absolutely.
many factors that reduce the reasons that people go out, like your ability to smoke inside a pub or even just outside of a pub is not one of them. It occurs to me
Mm.
as being yes, and of
Completely
course,
agree.
tobacco industry as well, massive lobbyists. Farage is rarely seen without a cigar. He's either got a pint or a cigar. That's how I think of Farage these days.
Yeah, always a pint or a cigar. So true, so true.
Yeah,
No, you're absolutely right. But I think, yeah, to deny, I think, but this is the thing though, even with what Starmer said, there have been many health officials that are actually backing it, like they're backing this measure. And although we don't, like you said, we don't know the intricacies of it, I think if health officials are backing it, then I think that is testament to how beneficial it could possibly be. I don't think any of us, and I think we can all agree, smokers or non-smokers, we don't particularly want smokers in places like children's play areas and seating areas. And I think this is something that Deborah Arnott says, who is the chief executive of a charity, the Action on Smoking and Health. She had said that, yeah, we don't want this to be the case. Let's not have people smoking in children's play areas and seating areas outside pubs, restaurants and cafes. And I think we can all agree on that. But yeah, I think we do have to look at a hyperbolic statement and call it for what it is, a hyperbole. And also that it came from Farage. But I don't want to make this about how I feel towards Farage, because I think that will come out. It will come out quite evidently as I talk more and more about him.
It's not personal, but you and I, we not Farage fans, are we?
No.
But that leads us on kind of nicely. What you were saying there about secondhand smoke leads us on to the a bit more that we've got on this story. So the NHS website says that secondhand smoke is a lethal cocktail of more than 4,000 irritants, toxins, and cancer-causing substances. Most secondhand smoke is invisible and odorless, so no matter how careful you think you're being, people around you still breathe in the harmful poisons. And I think that's one of the things that's got to be primarily understood about this story. It's not a story about first-hand smoke. It is a story about secondhand smoke. So could it be that this is social policy designed to reduce harm to the public and the cost on the NHS? Well, Essex pub boss Adam Brooks didn't think so, appearing on GB News to give his take on the potential ban.
Surely pubs should be sacrosanct, Adam. Surely that's where the working man, the working woman, they go to get away from all this political nonsense.
Martin, the metropolitan elite are showing their true colours again, trying to tell us, common folk, us oiks, how to live our lives. Again, I've never smoked myself, don't like it, but for someone to smoke outside is not affecting anybody else's health. Let's get that straight. Now, the pub industry, record closures, 80 a month, Martin. 80 pubs we're losing a month. I've lost one myself, just couldn't cope from COVID and the energy crisis. I'm struggling on my other one. You know, it's a great pub, but everything is stacked against us. But we fight on. The Great British Pub is our heritage. It's the nation's front room. You know, we're not saying people can smoke in our bars. No, that would be wrong. And we know that now. But in our beer gardens, this is authoritarian creep, Martin. And, you know, this Labour government in 50 odd days, it just astounds me. I mean, they are a nightmare. It's like a communist party that's just got in.
Ah, the communists. I knew it was the communists. Even when it was the Bears, I knew it was them. As we all know, communism is when the government does stuff, particularly stuff that might be good for the public. So, Sarah, how are we going to respond to Sir Keir Stalin and this dastardly plot to turn us into the next USSR?
Not two-tier Keir. Yeah, two-tier coming at it again, isn't he? I don't know. This is the thing. I think we have to look at the facts. I think people are looking at this through such an emotive lens, and it is emotive for the very reason that ending smoking, and this happened actually, I think this was released by Cancer Research, that ending smoking could actually free up 75,000 GP appointments each month. And these are the very same people who do complain about the waiting times and how long it takes to contact the GPs, when they can get an appointment, etc., etc. So if this plan was to actually take place, then maybe we would see a huge reduction, a huge mass reduction in the number of people smoking. And I don't know, like a two-tick here at it again with his communist ideals. What a reach, a bit of a reach. I'm not going to lie.
I do find it a little bit ironic as well that this guy's name, of course, is Adam Brooks. And it's so close to Addenbrooke's, as in the hospital in Cambridge, that the fact he's putting out this kind of anti-health message is it's perfect. It's amazing. You couldn't make up these. Like there was I think there was somebody else who was opposing it, or I think there was one of the latest stories. Somebody who was, I think he might have been a water boss. He was called Mr. Kill. I love it when they have these like ironic names. It's the best.
No, yeah, acronyms at its finest, honestly, and I'm here for it.
I'm not. I'm not focusing on the substance here, though. Sorry. So we talked about like the possible causes of pub closures and alternative causes of pub closures, but I do want to be a bit skeptical of what Keir Starmer's saying as well, because I would argue that he is focusing on the wrong burden. Like I would say that private sector profiteering is a bigger problem right now with the NHS, and also the cuts done over the last 14 years. They're a bigger problem for the NHS right now. The private sector nurses regularly get hired on, and it costs the NHS £60 an hour because, of course, you're paying for a private company to pay their shareholders, and you're paying for the labor of the nurse as well. It's just like there's so many things that he could be
Absolutely.
dealing with.
Completely
Yeah.
agree with you. And I think this, I was speaking about this yesterday actually, that maybe are we focusing on the wrong issues here, and are we not looking at the bigger picture? Because I think privatization does offer a bigger threat to our businesses in the UK, in England and Wales even. So absolutely, completely agree with you. So maybe there needs to be a bigger conversation around that, but I don't know if that will happen through Starmer. Maybe one day, who knows? I think he will, but fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
keeping everything
optimistic.
crossed for that one.
Yeah, I'm optimistic.
Yeah. But I also wanted to touch on, see, when it comes to this, I'm sort of 50-50. It depends on the details, because I think it would be reasonable to say every pub has to have an area, especially directly outside the door. You can't have your smoking area. You have to have it like, round the side or something like that. I think that's a good kind of balance to strike. I would be opposed to this policy if it meant that like anywhere near a pub you just can't smoke. I think there does need to be like a dedicated area where people can still go to smoke. But until we know the details, it's kind of like a bit
Exactly.
difficult.
It's a
Yeah,
great I think
yeah.
we don't know the intricacies just yet. I think until there is clarity around it, then we can have, I think, quite nuanced discussions about it. But I think we're all kind of like speculating slightly, like what is it going to look like, and how is it going to be? Is it going to be tangible in action? Like who knows? Because I think everyone now at the moment has gone, oh, well, if we can't smoke at pubs, then we're not going to be attending. And it's like, well, we don't actually know what's going to happen with this proposition that Starmer's made. So I think it is a waiting game.
It hasn't stopped the Essex pub landlords from declaring that this is communism, though. I just couldn't.
What a reach! What
I
a reach!
I knew it was going to be something like that. I looked for the GB News clip because I knew there was going to be one. I knew there was going to be a GB News clip of
So
somebody
predictable.
calling it communism. That was always going to be the story of it.
Patreon.com, Turn Left Media. Support independent media. Support social justice that's there on social media. Thank you, Turn Left.